The percentage of retirees who are going back to work has been increasing over the last few years, and some people are calling this trend UnRetirement. And there's three reasons why this is happening. Some are financial, so I'll share some of the surprising stats behind that. But then some are non-financial, which is actually the bigger reason why this is happening. And there's a mistake that people are making when they are setting up their retirement plan, but it can be easily avoided if we just know what to do. So in this video, I want to just make sure we talk about what you can do to avoid that mistake. And then I also want to go over actually another big mistake. If you're under the age of 67 or 68, something to think about if you're retiring before that age. And a lot of viewers find that the comments can actually be helpful when they're hearing from people who are in similar life stages to them. So if you don't mind, if you can share if you're already retired or if you decided to go back to work after retirement, share just some of the reasons why you did that. And by the way, I'm Dave Zoller and I own Streamline Financial. It's a retirement planning firm. But let's get into the surprising stats related to UnRetirement. So first, for the financial reasons, so according to T. Rowe Price, about 20% of retirees are currently working full-time or part-time. So we're retired and now they're continuing to work. And actually another study from Paycheck stated that 1 in 6 people who are retired, they're not working right now, they're actually thinking about going back to work in some way. And the number one reason they listed why they're thinking about this is because of financial reasons. About half of them, almost 50%, stated that they need the money. And that's understandable. You know, the financial reasons is why there's really been a steady increase in retirees going back to work the last few years. But there's also a big percentage of people who are financially stable. They've got enough and they feel good about what they have, but they're still retiring and then deciding to go back to work. Now, why is that? This one is important to know ahead of time because a lot of the people who have the motivation to unretire, they end up going back to work that they don't actually love. 45% of respondents stated that they're working to fix the social and emotional needs that work brings them. These are needs that they lost when they retired, and many retirees find that a few months in, they really miss the structure that they had at work, and they want to develop some sort of structure, but they just can't seem to get it. And many others stated that they just wanted something to do, and that makes complete sense. But there might be a better way to fill those needs without going back to a full-time or a part-time job. So let's look at some of the big problems that retirees are feeling from this survey, and then I'll share the big mistakes to avoid if you're planning on retiring before the age of 67 or 68. And just as a side note, I'm not anti-work. I just want to make sure that we're thinking about if work is the best possible choice for your retirement happiness. So I'll share more on this coming up. So the problems they said they face is in retirement, they have this feeling of loneliness they didn't have before. They also have a feeling that's a lack of purpose and just a lack of community. And if you've seen other videos on this channel, then you might notice that these really align with the 3 C's, these 3 essential things we want in retirement to have a fulfilling retirement. That feeling of loneliness and that lack of connection, that actually aligns with that C of connection, right? That's one of the C's. And then a lack of purpose aligns with that, the C of contribution, and also creativity. Those are the 3 C's: creativity, contribution, and connection. And if we can get those 3 C's right, then we're going to experience a retirement that's full of joy and peace and fulfillment. I feel like I'm diving a little bit deeper into this than planned, but it's important. And I haven't forgot about the mistake that a lot of retirees make before age 67. I've got it here so I won't forget, but I want to share a few practical ways that you can get these 3 C's in retirement, because this is just so key as really for anybody who's in their 55 plus as they're getting into retirement. So for contribution, a few ideas are you can donate your time to a cause or a charity that you feel very strongly about. And it may be fulfilling to assist in whatever way what the greatest need of the charity is. But the real magic comes when you can identify and use your unique skills in service of that charity. And here's what I mean. Say that you've got a strategic mind. Wouldn't it be cool, or wouldn't it be fun to provide your insight while they're mapping out maybe potential routes that they could take to in this next initiative that they have planned? Or maybe you've got a marketing mind and you're good at copywriting or persuasive writing. Maybe you could use those skills to improve what their messaging looks like on the website, and maybe that can attract more people. It's really, it brings me back to those three circles that I may have mentioned before. You may have seen, it's what you love to do, what you're really good at, and what does the world need? Or in this case, what does this charity need? My dad, for instance, he retired from being a CPA for over 30 years, and he's using his network to bring awareness to this cause, to this charity nonprofit that he cares about, that's helping kids, about 100 kids in Rwanda. And they're learning to break the cycle of poverty that seems to be recurring with each generation. So that charity is called Flourish Rwanda. I've mentioned it before. I'll include a link to it below. But if you're not certain what your skills are, what your unique ability might be, check out the book Strengths Finders. It comes with this quiz that takes maybe about 20 or 30 minutes, and it will identify the top 5 strengths that you exude, or that are what make up you. And you could probably find it either Amazon or just Google it and it should come up. You might be even able to take the quiz without buying the book. But the next thing that retirees bring up sometimes is this loneliness or this lack of social relationships, which work definitely provides. You know, for the last 30 or 40 years, our strongest connections are through work a lot of the time. But when the proximity is longer or farther away, those relationships, they sometimes wane or they become weaker. So from what retirees say, that can be a very big shift. So it's important to make a strong effort to really focus on the relationships that you want to build and want to keep in retirement. It'll take more effort than it used to while you were working to keep those relationships strong. And also it might be time to connect with people around maybe some of the hobbies that you didn't have enough time for while you were working. You know, the hobbies, things that you maybe put off. You know, common ones we hear are cyclists. Think about the people that you like being around. Cyclists, you know, bikers, pickleball players, or card players, or business owners, or musicians. I talked to a guy recently who really his people was business owners who also want to be kingdom builders. That was the people he enjoyed being around. So think about, who are your people? Take a minute, maybe jot down some notes. And really, step 1 is just identifying the people. And then step 2 is finding out where those people hang out. It's the clubs and the nonprofits or the groups or organizations where they spend their time. So that's where you should spend your time too, or could spend your time. So there's a lot here, and I feel like I'm getting off topic of UnRetirement, but it's all related. I hope that I'm explaining this in a good way that's helpful. Let me know in the comments if it is. But I got to get to the big mistake that I don't want to forget. So just to summarize, in the last section, work is great, but you want to make sure that you're fulfilling the 3 C's: connection, creativity, and contribution. And there's ways to fulfill that and to feel purpose and value and all those 3 C's without having to take on the traditional form of work in retirement. So now for the big mistake. We've seen quite a few people retire before 67 or 68 and then immediately turn on Social Security and then turn on pensions sometimes. But then the UnRetirement bug bites them, and then their hobby sometimes turns into an income-producing thing that they didn't plan on doing. And this happens a lot to business owners sometimes. The problem with that is that if they make more than about $21,000 per year, then they may have to pay back $1 for every $2 that they make because of Social Security. It's this contribution or this earnings limit. That's something that can be avoided, though. The idea is, I think just the practical step is just wait a few minutes, not a few minutes, but a few months before starting Social Security, and maybe live off other assets that you have saved, and then see just how retirement feels, see what maybe your interests are as you're doing these first 3 to 6 months of retirement. And remember too, if you're full retirement age, then you can earn whatever amount you want and you don't have to worry about paying it back to Social Security. So there's another video, if you're thinking about this, another video with more details on this earnings limit and Social Security and payback and all that should pop up the screen now. So I hope this was helpful, and if it was, please click the like button and subscribe, and then I'll see you in the next video. Take care.